यो नित्यमच्युतपदाम्बुजयुग्मरुक्मव्यामोहतस्ततितराणि तृणाय मेने अस्मद्गुरोः भगवतोऽस्य दयैकसिन्धोः रामानुजस्य चरणौ शरणं प्रपद्ये। पुण्याम्भोजविकासाय पापध्वान्तक्षयाय च श्रीमान् आविरभूद्भूमौ रामानुजदिवाकरः। वन्दे वेदान्तकर्पूरचामीकरकरण्डकं रामानुजार्यमार्याणां चूडामणिमहर्निशम्। Swami Ramanuja, the Adisesha Avatara, descended for the sake of relieving the Vedas, the Vedanta, the Brahma Sutras from feverishness. Tasmai Ramanujaryaya namah paramayogine yashruti smriti sutranam antarjvaram asishamat. He descended for the sake of relieving the Shastras, the Vedas, the Vedanta and the Brahma Sutras from feverishness of misinterpretation, misrepresentation, misunderstanding. He descended, the Adisesha descended as Ramanuja for the purpose of establishing the principle of equality. Equality without spirituality is not possible. Ramanuja establishes through his works, through his life, through his teachings, the principle of equality. Adisesha descended as Ramanuja to lead humanity on the glorious pathway of bhakti. Ramanuja descended for the purpose of revealing the Prapatti Marga. Revealing Prapatti Marga, which till then was hidden in our Shastras. The Jagadacharya opened the door of spirituality to one and all. Swami Ramanuja's virtue was compassion, boundless compassion. His virtue was compassion, his means was integration. He integrated people, he integrated societies, he integrated philosophies. He was the one who integrated and brought a common uniform message, unifying message of what the Shastras stand for. Among the Navanidhis of Swami Ramanuja, Navanidhi, 9 treasures, 9 unsurpassed works. Among the 9 Navanidhis of Swami Ramanuja, 3 in prose form are celebrated as Gadyatraya. Gadyatraya, the venerated, revered treatise on Prapatti Shastra. Ramanuja's Gadyatraya brought to light Prapatti Marga and opened the door to Vaikuntha to one and all, with no restrictions whatsoever, no discriminations whatsoever. Śaraṇāgati gadyam, Sri Vaikuntha gadyam, preceded by Śaraṇāgati gadyam. Śaraṇāgati gadyam covers in detail how to perform Śaraṇāgati. It's a very practical application. How to perform Śaraṇāgati? Śaraṇāgati gadyam covers whom to perform Śaraṇāgati. We also perform Śaraṇāgati every day, day in and day out. But our Śaraṇāgati is to the world of matter. We are all slaves, whether we like it or not. We crave and slave, not knowing whom to crave and slave for. Śaraṇāgati gadyam covers whom to do Śaraṇāgati. Sri Vaikuntha gadyam covers what is the destination of the Śaraṇāgata. Swami Ramanuja chose the auspicious day of Panguni Uttiram, Palguna Masa, Uttara Palguni Nakshatra. A very special day, a very auspicious day, for on this very day, the divine, the Divya Dampati of Srirangam, Sri Ranganatha and Sri Ranganayaki come together. Once in a year, on this very auspicious day, they come together and bestow their divine darshan to all the devotees. Therefore, Swami Ramanuja chose that particular day because he knew the importance of performing Śaraṇāgati to Bhagavan right in the presence of Bhagavati. We see in Ramayana how Śaraṇāgati failed in the absence of the mother, universal mother. On this very auspicious day of Uttara Palguni Nakshatra, Palguna Masa, which is celebrated as part of Brahmotsavam in Srirangam. This is a tradition that has been coming right down from Brahma, Adi Brahmotsava, that happened even Satyaloka. And even till today, this tradition is being followed. On this very auspicious day, Ranganatha and Ranganayaki come together. And an opportunity which Ramanuja seizes. And then and there, in front of the Divya Dampati, he performs Śaraṇāgati. Adisesha, the foremost of Seshas, he performs Śaraṇāgati for our sake, on our behalf. Right there he performs Śaraṇāgati and he composes Śaraṇāgati gadya. Śaraṇāgati gadya, performing Śaraṇāgati to the Divya Dampati, Ranganatha and Ranganayaki. And through Sri Ranga Gadyam, he glorifies the Sarvaloka Sharanya. Ramanuja's works are not only profound, but they are so very deep. Every adjective that he uses, he culls out every word from the Shastras and presents to us a very vivid and graphic visual, enabling us to visualize Bhagavan and Bhagavati. And through Vaikuntha Gadya, we get to see, we get to visualize the Paramapada Vaikuntha. Ramanuja, in the Vaikuntha Gadya, taking the essence from the Upanishads, provides a graphic description of that Aprakrita Mandala. Only Adisesha can enable us to visualize this, which is beyond nacha punaravartate, nacha punaravartate. Beyond our words, beyond our mind, beyond our intellect. Interestingly, Śaraṇāgati Gadya is a conversation. And more interestingly, it is not an Upadesha. It is not an Upadesha. It is an outpouring It is an outpouring, ecstatic outpouring from Ramanuja's heart filled, flooded with intense love for Bhagavan. And more importantly, filled with compassion for all of us. Because he had only one goal: to enable all of us to take the highway to Vaikuntha. Therefore, this is a personal experience Ramanuja shares. It is an experience where he speaks aloud, where he converses with Sri Mahalakshmi to begin with, and then Narayana. Of course, this is Śaraṇāgati performed on our behalf, for our sake. Therefore, every word that he speaks, he is only representing us. Every word in all these three gadyas enables us to perform Śaraṇāgati and lead our lives as Śaraṇāgatas. There is a very interesting story of mine. The story of two ants. Possibly I've shared this sometime before as well. It seems there were these two ants precariously perched on the summit of a mountain. These two ants found themselves right at the top, on the peak of the mountain, only that it happened to be the wrong peak, the wrong destination. Their actual destination was a neighboring peak, few meters away. Completely bewildered, helpless, the two ants started wondering what to do, how to reach the neighboring peak. The first ant immediately started to climb down all the way so that it can climb up eventually and reach the peak, the neighboring peak. Thousands of years pass, and as I speak today, the first ant is still struggling. It possibly has not even reached down the first mountain, leave alone climbing the other. It is impossible. Even several lifetimes will not be enough for this first ant to eventually reach its summit. The second ant was a wise one. It looked around and it saw a glorious lion. The lion was set to take a giant leap. The second ant immediately went and comfortably positioned itself. It took refuge in the foot of the lion. And when the lion took the giant leap, the second ant, along with the lion, comfortably, effortlessly reached the neighboring peak, its destination, its summit. In our spiritual journey, this lion is none other than our Simha, Narasimha. This lion is none other than our very Simha, Raghava Simha. Glorious avatars of the Vaikuntha Kanthirava, the Vaikuntha Simha, Narayana. Now this lion also represents Yati Simha, Swami Ramanuja. Yati Simha, Yati Raja. Ranganatha entrusted the responsibility of giving moksha to Swami Ramanuja. He was given the title Udayavar, one who owns both vibhutis of Bhagavan, Leela Vibhuti and Nitya Vibhuti, the ever-changing, ephemeral, transient, material world, Prakrita Mandala of Leela Vibhuti, to which we all belong, and the never-changing, glorious Aprakrita Mandala, which is beyond all miseries, Paramapada Vaikuntha. Ramanuja was entrusted with the task of governing the affairs of both Vibhutis, and in the process, he was also given by Ranganatha the responsibility of bestowing moksha. So therefore, if we take refuge in the lotus feet of Yati Simha, he will take us to Narasimha and Raghava Simha. And what a coincidence that we all have taken literally refuge in the lotus feet. We are right under the divine lotus feet. What more can we ask for? We are right under his lotus feet, trying to understand one of his magnum opus, which is an ocean. It's not going to be possible for us today to dive into the ocean and swim. We will possibly stand on the shore and spend some time discussing the summary, a gist of this magnum opus. Bhaktya prapatya vapi, bhaktya paramaya vapi prapatya va mahamune, prapyoham na anyata prapyaha mama kainkarya lipsubihi. Bhagavan himself makes this profound statement. There are two ways that are possible for moksha. Bhaktya paramaya vapi prapatya va mahamune. Bhakti yoga and prapatti marga. Bhakti yoga. Swadharma jnana vairagya sadhya bhaktyeka gocharaha Narayana param brahma Gita shastre samiritaha. Bhakti yoga can be practiced through the observance of one's swadharma, karma yoga, acquisition of jnana, and practice of vairagya. Bhakti is nothing but continuous contemplation on Bhagavan, longing for his union, lamenting on his separation, always desiring to be of service to him. When this bhakti becomes the pathway, then it becomes bhakti yoga. Bhakti yoga has a prerequisite of karma yoga and jnana yoga. On the other hand, prapatti, Śaraṇāgati or prapatti is where one realizes that Bhagavan himself is the upaya. Bhakti yoga is sadhyopaya. Upayas can be categorized into two: sadhyopaya, siddhopaya. Sadhya, what is achieved through one's effort. Siddha, what is always there, ever existing. Bhakti yoga is sadhyopaya. A lot of effort is required. It is not easy. Bhakti yoga requires a lot of effort. It takes several lifetimes. And therefore, it is sadhyopaya. And the bhakti, which is practiced as in sadhyopaya, sadhana bhakti. Sadhana bhakti, sadhana means when bhakti is used as the means to attain mukti, it becomes sadhana bhakti. On the other hand, prapatti is where one realizes that the means to attain him is him. He is the means. Bhagavan, to attain Bhagavan, Bhagavan himself becomes the upaya. That is why it is called Siddhopaya. His lotus feet are Siddha, ever existing. There is no need of any effort from our side. His lotus feet are always available, always waiting. That is why this is Sadhyopaya, this is Siddhopaya. Through his works, Swami Ramanuja synthesizes the philosophies of sadhana. Because we need to understand that a bhakti yoga nishta also does Śaraṇāgati. A prapanna, a Śaraṇāgata also does bhakti. Because many a times we immediately ask this question, is there a conflict between these two? What is the role of bhakti? What is the role of Śaraṇāgati? And Gita, what is recommended by Gita Charya in the Gita? Now, Ramanuja, that is why he is a synthesizer par excellence, an integrator par excellence. Whenever there are confusions, conflicts, difficulty in understanding in our Shastras, Ramanuja comes up with a solution. Now, he synthesizes the sadhanas of philosophy. On the one hand, we have Sadhyopaya, Bhakti Yoga, and on the other hand, we have Siddhopaya, Prapatti. Now, a Bhakti Yoga Nishta also has to perform Śaraṇāgati. Devi Hyesha Gunamayi Mamamaya Duratyaya Mamevaye Prapadyante Maya Metam Tarantite. Right in the 7th chapter, Krishna recommends Śaraṇāgati. Now, the Śaraṇāgati that a Bhakti Yoga Nishta performs is called Anga Prapatti. There, the Śaraṇāgati is done in order for the obstacles for the growth of bhakti to be removed. We have all accumulated too much of Papa Karma. And the Papa Karmas become obstacles in the way of bhakti blossoming. We may think bhakti is very easy. Generally, we may think bhakti, anybody can do bhakti. Bhakti doesn't not come naturally. Bhakti is our natural state, but for an embodied being with the accumulation of Papa Karmas, if the Papa Karmas are not eradicated, bhakti will not blossom and grow. So therefore, Anga Prapatti, a Bhakti Yoga Nishta also does Śaraṇāgati. That Śaraṇāgati is for the sake of removal of all the obstacles that come in the way of bhakti to blossom and grow. A Prapanna, a Śaraṇāgata, also does bhakti. Bhakti is about constantly experiencing Bhagavan, Bhagavad Gunanubhava. So therefore, even a Prapanna, a Śaraṇāgata, has to practice bhakti, but that bhakti is not sadhana bhakti, it is sadhya bhakti. Why it is sadhya bhakti? There is no effort there to practice bhakti. Sadhana bhakti is bhakti which is granted by Bhagavan. By doing Śaraṇāgati, one seeks, hey Bhagavan, you make me a bhakta too. That is sadhya bhakti, which is bestowed by Bhagavan himself. So therefore, there is Śaraṇāgati Prapatti in Bhakti Yoga. There is also Bhakti in Prapatti Yoga as well. This we need to be very clear. Now, if you look at Gita, when we deeply analyze Krishna's recommendation, we may also get little confused. On the one hand, Krishna says, Bhakti Yoga is the means to attain him. And he also says, without practice of Karma Yoga and acquisition of Jnana, it is impossible to practice, to qualify for Bhakti Yoga. He spent 6 chapters on Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga before even starting to talk about Bhakti. A lot of prerequisites. And also part of Karma Yoga, all the Vaidika karmas that need to be performed are not easy at all. More so, in Kali Yuga. Now, on the one hand, Krishna declares Bhakti Yoga as the means. And we also get to see how difficult cultivation of Bhakti Yoga is. On the other hand, Krishna also says, Bhakti is susukha. Bhakti is sulabha. Patram pushpam palam thoyam yome bhaktya prayachati. Hey Arjuna, nothing is needed. Patram pushpam palam thoyam. You have just one spoon of water. Offer it to me. Practicing bhakti is so sulabha, so susukha. On the one hand, practice of bhakti, one needs to do karma yoga, one needs to do jnana yoga. On the other hand, Krishna is also saying susukha, sulabha. Krishna often does this. He's a master at it. So therefore, we need another master to unravel Krishna's message. Now, Ramanuja also started deeply contemplating on what is Krishna trying to say in the Gita. Also, interestingly, when we have to list down some examples of great bhaktas across yugas, let's go back to yugas and see who are all the great bhaktas that come to our mind. Prahlada, Guha, Shabari, Vibhishana, Vidura, Uddhava, Gopikas. Now, very interesting list. Has any of them done Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga? Do they even qualify for Vaidika karmas? All of them are not Brahmanas. Prahlada, Rakshasa, Vibhishana, Rakshasa, Shabari, a tribal woman, Guha, a hunter. None of them seem to qualify for performing Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga and Bhakti Yoga as per Shastras. But we all celebrate them as the greatest of bhaktas. Only they come to our mind. It's very difficult to list down any other bhaktas to say, this bhakta has performed Karma Yoga to the T, Jnana Yoga to the T, therefore qualified for Bhakti Yoga. Very difficult to come up with such examples. It baffles us. How is it possible? So Ramanuja synthesizes bhakti and prapatti and says, all of these bhaktas have performed Śaraṇāgati. And then they've acquired sadhya bhakti. By performing Śaraṇāgati, they have been bestowed by quintessential bhakti by Bhagavan. For sadhya bhakti, there are no prerequisites of any Vaidika karma, no prerequisites of Varna dharma. All Varnas, all ashramas, no restrictions whatsoever. Prapatti, Śaraṇāgati, there are no discriminations. Anyone, anywhere, anytime. Then one may ask, are there no qualifications at all? Yes, there is one qualification. Desire. Desire. The moment one realizes that Bhagavan is Sarvaloka Rakshaka, that awareness itself should give one a Mahavishwasa that one shall be protected, one shall be taken care of. If Bhagavan is Sarvaloka Rakshaka, he is my Rakshaka too. So where is the doubt? Where is the concern for my security, for my protection? It is the awareness of my belonging to him is more important than all my belongings. My belonging to Krishna is fundamental. All my belongings are temporary. When I belong to him, then it is his duty. A part belongs to a whole. it is the responsibility of the whole, WHOLE, to take care of the part. So therefore, Prapatti Śaraṇāgati is a formula for minimum, or I should say, zero effort, maximum results. Effortless accomplishment. Somebody said, the shortest distance between a problem and its solution. What is the shortest distance between a problem and its solution? The shortest distance is the distance between my head and the lotus feet of Bhagavan. And the one who prostrates to the lotus feet illustrates how effortlessly to find a solution to every problem. Now, more so in Kali Yuga, we all know how powerful the Kali Purusha is. Kali Purusha is so very powerful. His only job is to distract us. His only job. Some fine day, some fine hour, Sattva-guna rises and we take a resolve to do something useful, and immediately Kali Purusha takes a resolve to distract us the next moment. Therefore, adopting any sadhana in Kali Yuga is almost impossible. And we all experience this day in and day out. Who can stand against Kali Purusha? Which sadhana can stand against Kali Purusha? Not get thwarted by the Kali Purusha. Because every sadhana we adopt will fail because of Kali Purusha's force. So which sadhana? The only sadhana that can not just withstand but can overcome the force of Kali Purusha is the lotus feet of Bhagavan. So therefore, Ramanuja reveals the truth that Prapatti Śaraṇāgati to the lotus feet of Bhagavan. Ahamasmi aparadhanam alayoho akinchano agatihi tvameva upaya bhuto me bhaveti prarthanamatihi Śaraṇāgatihi. Ahirbudnya Samhita gives a glorious description of this Śaraṇāgati Shastra, Prapatti Shastra. Ahamasmi aparadhanamalayoho. Aparadhanamalaya. This is acceptance of swadosha. We are all bundles of aparadhas. Whether we like it or not, whether we acknowledge it or not. Ahamasmi aparadhanamalayoho akinchanaha agatihi. Incapable. With no other refuge. Tvameva upaya bhuto me bhaveti prarthanamatihi. You alone are my upaya. Your divine lotus feet alone are upaya. This mental state, this mahavishwasa, this mental awareness is Śaraṇāgati. Prapatti. Prapatti was hidden. The Prapatti Shastra was hidden within the Vedas and the Upanishads. The Vedas and the Upanishads speak loudly on Bhakti Yoga, but Prapatti seems to be hidden. Ramanuja brings to light this Prapatti Shastra, this Prapatti Marga. Śaraṇāgati Gadya, as I said, is a glorious conversation. It's a samvada. It's a samvada initially between Ramanuja and Sri Mahalakshmi. A short samvada where he seeks her blessing before approaching Bhagavan. All our kids know this technique. Get something done from father, approach the mother first, who is more compassionate. And the kid also knows when mother says, father can't say no. This is the case even with the Divya Dampati as well. The conversation between Ramanuja and Ranganatha is a very interesting conversation. Ramanuja seeks, he prays. He prays for Bhagavad Anubhava Janita Kainkarya. Bhagavad Anubhava Janita Kainkarya. Kainkarya, service, servitude, born out of joyful experience of Bhagavan's Kalyana Gunas. He seeks the reward of Nitya Kainkarya, eternal service to Bhagavan. Bhagavan also likes to have a friendly banter always with bhaktas. So immediately Bhagavan asks, what do you have in return for me? You are asking the highest reward. What did you do to qualify for this? We need to remember, this is actually not a conversation between Ramanuja, Adisesha, and Bhagavan. It is actually a conversation between each and every one of us and Bhagavan, because Ramanuja is just representing us. So the question is asked, put forth. What did you do? Why should you be granted this supreme reward? What is your qualification? Immediately Ramanuja says, what do you think? Of course I have the right qualification. Bhagavan says, what is the qualification? Ramanuja says, my qualification is akinchinyam. Akinchinyam. Kinchit means little. Something which is very, very, very little, significantly little. Akinchit means even that little something is not there. Akinchinyam. I do not have anything which is worthy. I have no means. I am incapable. I am helpless. Bhagavan is surprised that somebody is actually saying the qualification for the highest reward is my incapability. Normally we think one needs to have some capability, some qualification to achieve some result. Here the Acharya is saying the qualification is my incapability, lack of nothing. But before Bhagavan could respond, Ramanuja says, but I have something. I have the relationship with you. Pita cha rakshakasyeshi bharta agneyo ramapatihi swamyadharo mamatma cha bhokta sadhya manoditaha navavida sambandha. I have 9 kinds of relationships with you. I am eternally related to you, eternally inseparable from you. You are my Swami, I am your Dasa. When a child goes to her mother and says, Amma, give me food, I am hungry, the mother is not going to ask, what do you have? What qualifies you for me to give you food? What did you do? So therefore, that relationship, mother-child relationship alone is enough for a mother to feed a child. That relationship is just in one lifetime. You and I have inseparable relationship forever, for time immemorial. And therefore, don't you think this relationship alone is enough for you to grant me the highest of rewards? But Bhagavan still insists, okay, fine, but do you have something else? You should be having something else. Ramanuja says, yes, I have something else. Now that you are asking me, I did not know you accept everything. I have loads of imperfections. Swadosha. I have loads of them. I never knew you accept everything, including my dosha. Obviously, Bhagavan is the very embodiment, epitome of Vatsalya. Just like how a mother cow accepts the infant calf and cleans all the dirt by itself with its own tongue, joyfully. Joyfully. Bhagavan accepts every imperfection of ours so very joyfully. Ramanuja says, I have loads of this. Again, he is saying this on behalf of all of us. And therefore, I realize that the only thing that I can hold on to is your divine lotus feet. That is my upaya alone. That alone is my upaya. I am your dasa, you are my Swami. Then Bhagavan says, fair, good enough. If I am your Swami and you are my dasa, then why are you asking dasatva? Why are you asking for servitude? You yourself are saying, I am Swami, you are dasa. Then why are you asking for dasatva? Ramanuja says, good question, Bhagavan. I know, but then often I keep forgetting. I keep forgetting this, that I am dasa, your Swami. Most often I keep thinking that I am the Swami. I am in control of everything. I keep forgetting. Forgetting Krishna is very fatal. Forgetting Krishna means no getting Krishna. It is very important to fight our forgetfulness. To end our forgetfulness, we need to commit to ending forgetfulness of our forgetfulness. Because we lead our lives completely in a state of forgetfulness all the time. Acknowledging this is a primary prerequisite. So the Acharya therefore says, hey, Bhagavan, you are the one who can give me Seshatva Jnana. You are the one. You have to give me the Jnana. You have to light the lamp of wisdom. I cannot do it myself. You have to light the lamp of wisdom. Seshatva Jnana, the Jnana that I am your dasa, your servant. I am not the servant of Prakriti. Because we all lead our lives as dasas, but dasas of Prakriti. You are the one who have to give me Seshatva Jnana. You are the one who have to bestow bhakti. You are the one who has to give me Kainkarya. Bhagavan is now smiling. You are asking if everything to be given to you by me, then what will you do? You are asking, I have to give you Seshatva Jnana, I have to give you Bhakti, you are asking me, I have to give you Kainkarya. So what is that you will do? Ramanuja says, I will only ask. I will keep asking. Until you give me, I keep asking. There is one other thing I can do, he says. Now Bhagavan is very curious. He says, what else? Ramanuja says, definitely I will try and let not my ego prevent you from giving me these things. That I will try, underline. It's like when a parent together with a child, a mother and a daughter are crossing the road. The mother will automatically hold the daughter's hand before crossing the road and will ensure that the child crosses the road safely, comfortably. All the daughter needs to do is not obstruct the mother from holding her. That's it. Similarly, Ramanuja says, all that I can do is prevent any obstruction from my side. I will keep asking and I will ensure that I will prevent obstruction of you giving me Seshatva Jnana. Prevent obstruction of you giving me Sadhya Bhakti and bestowing Kainkarya to me. This, in essence, is the conversation that happens in Śaraṇāgati gadyam. A very beautiful conversation where, if we have to relate to this conversation, we clearly see how the Mahacharya, the Jagadacharya, has actually spoken only for us. Every word he speaks is only for us. Bhagavan Narayana Bhimata Anurupa Swarupa Rupa Gunapivavaishwarya Sheeladya Anavadikadishaya Asankeya Kalyana Gunaganam Padmavanalayam Bhagavatim Shriyam Devim Nityanapayinim Niravadyam Devadeva Divamahishim Akila Jagan Mataram Asman Mataram Asharanya Sharanyam Ananya Sharanaha Sharanamaham Prapadhye. Paramartika Bhagavaccharanaravinda Aikantika Atyantika Parabhakti Parajnana Paramabhakti Krita Paripurnanavarata Nitya Vishadatama Ananya Prayoja Anavadikadishaya Priya Bhagavadanubhavajanita Anavadikadishaya Pritikarita Asesha Vastochita Asesha Seshataikariti Rupa Nitya Kainkarya Praptyapekshaya Paramartiki Bhagavaccharanaravinda Śaraṇāgatihi Yathavastita Aviratha Astume. Straight away, Swami Ramanuja surrenders to Sri Mahalakshmi. The first part of Śaraṇāgati gadyam is Ramanuja surrendering to Sri. Shastras say Sri is the Purushakara Bhuta. Purushakara means mediation. Mediatrix. She is the one who recommends. Without Sri's recommendation, moksha prapti is impossible. Therefore, prerequisite for Śaraṇāgati to be fruitful is total blessings of Sri Mahalakshmi. Knowing this, Ramanuja surrenders to the lotus feet. And when he surrenders, we can go at length taking every word of the Gadya and relish the depth and the meaning. But what we are going to do today is just look at the crux and summary. We will possibly find time to do a deep dive of the entire Śaraṇāgati gadyam, which will run into possibly several sessions. Here we will look at the summary and the main message. A Nityanapayinim, Niravadhyam, a blemishless, faultless one, Nityanapayinim, you are ever inseparable. You are ever united with Bhagavan. Nityaivaisha Jaganmata Vishnoho Sri Ranapayini, Parashara says. Sri and Narayana are always together, inseparable. You are ever united with her. And you have all Swarupa, Rupa, Guna, Aishwarya, all qualities that match Bhagavan. You are made for each other. I have no other refuge. I am refugeless. And therefore I surrender to your lotus feet. Immediately, Sri Mahalakshmi asks him, Yatiraja, what is this purpose of you doing Śaraṇāgati to me? Ramanuja therefore says, Bhagavad Śaraṇāravinda Yugala Śaraṇāgatihi. I want my Śaraṇāgati to Śaraṇāravinda of Bhagavan to be accepted by him. I am going to approach him. I am going to approach his divine lotus feet and perform Śaraṇāgati to him. I want you to bless me so that my Śaraṇāgati is accepted by him as true and well performed. Now, what is the desired result of the Śaraṇāgati? Nitya Kainkarya Prapti. Nitya Kainkarya. The reward of the Śaraṇāgati is Nitya Kainkarya, eternal service to Bhagavan. This Nitya Kainkarya is a manifestation of the intense love and longing that I have to be a source of joy to Bhagavan. Immediately, how did this desire for Nitya Kainkarya germinate and grow? Ramanuja says, the seed for this Nitya Kainkarya is the immense joy of Bhagavad Gunanubhava. Bhagavad Gunanubhava Janita, which is the most desirable of all, which is the ultimate when it comes to desirability, which is beyond everything else, which is the end of all. Bhagavad Gunanubhava is the means and the end. we experience him here and we continue to experience him in Vaikuntha without any interruption. That is what Ramanuja is seeking. Uninterrupted, anavarata, uninterrupted service to Bhagavan. Yatavastita avirata, unbroken, uninterrupted service. Astute tayaiva sarvam sampatsyate. Shri immediately answers, hey Ramanuja, astute tayaiva sarvam sampatsyate. So be it. Your manoratha is granted. Your Śaraṇāgati to Bhagavan will certainly become fruitful. You are blessed. And therefore, the jubilant Ramanuja, with that blessings of Shri's blessings are like tonic. Immediately, he comes up with a glorious stotra on Bhagavan. Akila heya pratyanika kalyanika tana svetaravastu samastavastu vilakshana ananta jnananandaika swarupa. Swabhavika anavadikadisaya jnanabala aishwarya virya shakti teja saushilya vatsalya madhava arjava sauhardha samya karunya madhurya gambirya audarya chaturya sthairya dhairya shaurya parakrama satyakama satyasankalpa krititva kritagnyatadi asankheya kalyana gunagalu maharnava. Every kalyana guna of Bhagavan is like an ocean. He is an ocean of kalyana gunas. Every guna is an ocean. That is why one nama of Vishnu Sahasranama, Vishwam, that one nama is the ocean for the rest of the 1999 namas. Every guna is like an ocean for us to dive deep and experience. Ramanuja, very jubilant, ecstatic, describes the various kalyana gunas of Bhagavan. Svochita vividha vichitranantascharya nitya niravadya niratishya sugandha niratishya sukasparisha niratishya aujwalya kirita mukuta chudavatam samakara kundala greve kahara keyura kataka srivatsa kaustuva muktadama udarabhandana pitambara kanchi guna nupuradi aparimita divya bhushana. The way he visualizes Bhagavan with all his divya bhushanas, this is the art of the master. He enables, he describes what cannot be described. Shastras on the one hand say, Bhagavan cannot be captured by words. On the other hand, we see how Ramanuja enables us to capture that which cannot be captured. He describes the glorious Divya Mangala Vigraha, describing all the Divya Bhushanas, the divine ornaments. He goes through glorifying Bhagavan's Swarupa, nature, Rupa, Divya Mangala Vigraha, Gunas, his Kalyana Gunas, auspicious qualities. And then he also glorifies his divine weapons. He also glorifies Bhagavan, who is the owner of Nitya Vibhuti and Leela Vibhuti. Paramayogi Vang Manasa Aparichedya. Paramayogi Vang Manasa Aparichedya, he says. Even the great yogis cannot capture in words. It is beyond the words and the minds of great yogis to capture Paramapada Vaikuntha. You are the master of that Vaikuntha. Paramayogi Vang Manasa Aparichedya. Swarupa Swabhava Swabhimata. Vividha Vichitrananta Bhogya Bhogopakarana Bhogastana Samruddha. Nitya Niravadya Niratashya Sri Vaikuntha Natha. In Vaikuntha, he says, Bhogya Bhogopakarana Bhogastana. Vividha Vichitrananta. Bhogya is what that is relished, objects of enjoyment. Bhogopakarana is the means, the instruments to enjoy. Bhogasthana, the places to enjoy. The difference between the Prakrita Mandala and Aprakrita Mandala, even the Prakrita Mandala you have Bhogya, Bhogopakarana, Bhogasthana, but here they are all transient, ephemeral, keeps changing all the time. Therefore, the experiences are always mixed. there is no joy, it's only sorrow. Whereas there, the experiences are constant. And also interestingly, he talks about bhogya, bhogopakarana, bhogasthana, bhogya objects of enjoyment, bhogopakarana instruments of enjoyment, bhogasthana places of enjoyment. He doesn't talk about bhoktas. There are all nityasuris there, the eternally liberated atmas, but he doesn't call, he is not referring to them as bhoktas. Because there is only one bhokta. Bhagavan is the bhokta. Brahmananda is witnessing Bhagavan's ananda. Brahmananda is not about being a bhokta. He is witnessing Bhagavan as the bhokta. That is why there is no mention of bhokta in Paramapada Vaikuntha. Such Paramapada Vaikuntha, you are the master. You are also the master of the Leela Vibhuti. Prakriti Purusha Kalatmaka. Prakriti Purusha Kalatmaka. Vividha Vichitrananta. Bhogya Bhoktruvarga Bhogopakarana Bhogasthana Rupa. Nikila Jagadudaya Vibhavalaya Leela, he says. Even in Leela Vibhuti, in the Prakrita Mandala, you have Bhogya, Bhogopakarana, Bhogasthana. They are all temporary, they are all changing, they are subject. That is the reason why Prakrita Mandala is always filled with miseries. Prakriti Purusha Kalatmaka. Prakriti Achittatva. Achittatva, the role of Achittatva is to be a tool to the Chittatva. To be a tool either leading to samsara bandhana or leading to moksha. The same Prakriti can play both the roles. Purusha, the Jivatma who is embodied. Kala, time, which controls all the changes in the Prakrita Mandala. All these three are subservient to you, he says. Hey Bhagavan, you use all these three and it is your Leela. Srishti, Sthiti, Laya are your Leela. And as part of this Leela, you use Prakriti, Purusha, Kala. And you enjoy, you are the Bhokta. You are always having Ananda in performing this Leela, he says. He Satyakama, He Satyasankalpa, He Purushottama, He Mahavibhute, Shriman Narayana, Shri Vaikunthanatha, Apara Karunya Vatsalyaika, Saundarya Jalade, Anavarata Vividha Bhuta Jata Niyamana Nirata, Satyakama, Satyasankalpa, Ashrita Vatsalyaika Jalade, he says. He says, you are the ocean. You are the ocean of Vatsalya. You are the ocean of innumerable qualities. You and you alone are my means. And therefore, I surrender to you. Ananya Sharanaha Tvat Padaravinda Sharanamaham Prapadhye. He surrenders to Ramanuja's lotus feet. Surrender is similar to a man calling out for help, a man who is drowning. It's a spiritual equivalent to a man who is drowning in an ocean. Śaraṇāgati is the spiritual equivalent to a man who is drowning in an ocean. Now immediately we'll ask, if a man is drowning in an ocean, what is so great? He will naturally call out. The question is, imagine if that man is intoxicated. He will not know he is drowning. He will not call out for help. We are all intoxicated. We are intoxicated because we are immersed in worldliness. This intoxication, this attachment to the world of matter makes us so very inebriated. We don't even know that we should call out for help. That is why the greatest help that we can do to ourselves is to realize that we are helpless without Bhagavan. immediately surrendering to the lotus feet of Bhagavan, Ramanuja realizes that still there are obstacles that have to be dealt with. For Bhagavan to accept our Śaraṇāgati and bestow Nitya Kaikarya, eternal servitude to us, there are still lots of obstacles. Loads and loads of obstacles. Ahamasmi aparadhano malayoho. Obstacles which are housed in us because of our karma, because of our viparita jnana, because of our deha sambandha. Manovakkayehi anadikala pravrittananta akrityakarana kritya akarana bhagavadapachara bhagavadapachara asahyapachara nanavidanantapacharan arabdakaryan anarabdakaryan kritan kriyamanan karishyamananscha sarvam aseshatah kshamasva. On behalf of all of us, he is asking for pardon, forgiveness from Bhagavan. Manovakkayehi anadikala pravrittananta. I have accumulated so many faults from time immemorial, impossible to count. No, terabytes or I don't know, zillion bytes, whatever the bytes we call, of vasanas that we have faithfully stored and we are carrying from one life to the other. Manovakkayehi. And because of this, what we end up doing? Akritya karana, kritya karana. This we faithfully do. Akritya karana. Akritya karana. Do what the Shastras say, don't do. Kritya karana. Don't do what the Shastras say, do. All of us are very familiar with this. The Shastras, loud and clear, prescribe certain ways of life and living. And all of us have come far, 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 far away. There is no way of going back. Vaidika way of living remains a dream, a daydream. And I don't think we should even waste our time daydreaming, because we have come so far away, it is impossible. So the Acharya is saying, you have to accept this. You have to accept this. I am loaded with faults, imperfections. Akritya karana, kritya akarana. I don't do my duties. How many of us are performing Pancha Mahayajnas, which is supposed to be very central to our way of life and living? Pancha Mahayajna, what is that? It is impossible. Even if we want to do, we are far away. We have our roots have been cut, and we have been swept by a tsunami of worldliness. And therefore, akrityakarana, krityakarana, bhagavadapachara, bhagavadapachara, asahyapacharas, apachara, offenses, bhagavadapachara. Every day we do bhagavadapachara. What is bhagavadapachara? Offenses, misdeeds that displease Bhagavan. Krishna keeps smiling all the time. He hides this from us. Never gets angry. This is one beauty. Krishna's smiling face is always there. We keep continuing to do offenses, he is smiling. Because he knows someday he will do one good deed. One good deed. Bhagavadapachara, even more offensive. Krishna even forgives Bhagavadapachara. If somebody offends him, he's okay. Somebody offends his bhakta, it's not okay with him. Bhagavadapachara is something we continuously keep doing. Asahyapachara. Asahyapachara. Apacharas against Acharya. That is one category of asahyapacharas. Another category of apachara is jealousy of looking at the well-being of bhaktas. Unknowingly, that ill feeling, negativity. Bhagavadapachara, Bhagavadapachara, Asahyapachara, Nana Vidanantapacharan, Arabdakaryan, Anarabdakaryan, Kritan, Kriyamanan, Karishamanan. On our behalf, he says, what I have done in the past, now in the future. Aseshatah Kshamaswa, whatever I have stated, not stated. Forgive me. You alone can pardon. Acknowledging deficiencies is not a weakness. Acknowledging imperfections is not an act of weakness. When our deficiencies become an impetus that can turn us towards Bhagavan, then those deficiencies become launching pads for devotion. Very important to realize this. The deficiencies, when they become an impetus for us to turn towards Bhagavan, the same very deficiencies are like launching pads for our devotion. And therefore, we need to remind ourselves that knowing that we have imperfections and deficiencies is important so that we can seek Bhagavan's purifying grace all the time. He is a purifier. The closer and closer we go to Him, the greater our purification. So therefore, Ramanuja then immediately asks for forgiveness of his viparita jnana, perverse knowledge, the knowledge that I am the body. We keep constantly contemplating that I am the Atman, I am not the body. We keep doing that. Whenever we study the Gita, when we are in a discourse, when we are in satsang, to a large extent, we do try to bring the distance between the body and the Atman. But the moment we walk into this world, into our offices, into our homes, all of a sudden, that distance vanishes. Viparita jnana, not easy at all. So the Acharya is saying that viparita jnana also has to be erased only by you. Don't expect me to do anything about it. You have to pardon me. Because of that viparita jnana, I may commit so many offenses. All the offenses that I am committing is because of that. So therefore, you are the one who has to take care of that viparita jnana as well. Madhiya anadi karma pravaha pravrittam. Look at the way he structures the prose. Madhiya anadi karma pravaha pravrittam. Karma pravaha pravrittam. Pravaha, the flow of karma. The flow of karma is unstoppable. But Madhiya qualifies it. It is my karma. I have to take charge. I cannot say the flow of karma is unstoppable and I am being driven by karma. This is my karma. I have accumulated it. I am responsible for it. Bhagavan is not responsible for it. It is my actions. And the consequences, therefore, are mine as well. Madhiya anadi karma pravaha pravrittam. Bhagavat swarupa tirodhana karim viparita jnana jananim svavishayayascha bhogya buddher jananim tehendriyatvena bhogyattvena sukshma rupena cha avastitam devim gunamayim mayam dasabhutam Śaraṇāgatospī tavasmi dasaga iti vaktaram mam tharaya. The Acharya talks about threefold functions of Prakriti, which is because of the four states of Prakriti. Prakriti is in four states. Deha, Indriya, Dehendriyatvena, Bhogyatvena, Sukshma Rupena cha avastitam. Deha is the base for enjoyment. Indriyas, the instruments for enjoyment. Bhogya, the objects of enjoyment. The Tanmatras. All are products of Prakriti. And Prakriti in a subtle state. These four states of Prakriti result in three functions of Prakriti. What are the three functions of Prakriti? Bhagavat Swarupa Tirodhana Karim. It blindfolds us. Bhagavan is there right in front of us, but we are blind to him. Bhagavat Swarupa Tirodhana Kari. Tirodha, like a curtain. Viparita Jnana Janani. This is this Prakriti, this association with Prakriti, which is responsible for my Viparita Jnana. The Viparita Jnana that I am the body, I am the mind, I am the intellect. So Vishayayascha Bhogya Buddher Janani. It also results in the feeling that summum bonum of life is gratification of the bodily, for the senses, gratification of the senses of the body. So therefore, Prakriti plays havoc. And Ramanuja says, this is your Prakriti. Daivim Gunamayim Mayam. Whose Prakriti this is? This is your Prakriti. So you better tell your Prakriti not to play havoc with my life. I belong to you. Prakriti belongs to you. It's up to you to settle the score between us. Simple. I'm not going to fight because I know I will lose. I know it is your responsibility to settle the score between us. Daivim Gunamayim Mayam Dasabhutam Śaraṇāgatosmi iti vaktaram mam tharaya. Iti vaktaram mam tharaya. Mam tharaya. Crossing over the ocean of samsara, therefore, is your responsibility. Don't give me that task because I know it is impossible. Then Ramanuja prepares for the next stage of seeking Nitya Kainkarya. Nitya Kainkarya, serving Bhagavan, the aid to serving Bhagavan is experiencing the bliss of service. Brahmananda is not just serving him, in the process of serving him, also to relish his gunas. Therefore, Ramanuja asks for Parabhakti, Parajnana, Paramabhakti. Bhakti progresses in 3 stages. Parabhakti, Parajnana, Paramabhakti. If we have to quickly define what these 3 are, Parabhakti is Jnanavastha. Parajnana is Darshanavastha. Paramabhakti is Praptyavastha. Let me explain what these are. Jnanavastha, knowing. Darshanavastha, seeing. Praptyavastha, attaining. Bhakti progresses through 3 stages. Knowing, seeing, attaining. Parabhakti is where one develops that thirst, that longing for Krishna, that intense love, always seeking his union, lamenting on his separation, wanting to be ever united with him. Now, this thirst then wins Bhagavan's grace. Bhagavan showers his grace and reveals himself to the bhakta. This is darshanavastha. That's why in the Gita Krishna says, Tesham evanukampartam aham ajnanajam tamaha nashayam atmabhavastaha jnanadipena bhasvata. Krishna lights the lamp of wisdom. Parajnana is darshanavastha, where Bhagavan reveals his glorious form to the bhakta. But unfortunately, this revelation, this vision is only temporary, because still the jiva is embodied. Therefore, because this vision is temporary, there is that yearning for this to continue forever. All of us have also experienced this. There are moments of that bliss where Bhagavan reveals to us and then immediately he seems to disappear. He doesn't disappear, he seems to disappear, because there is only so much our limited faculties can handle. Therefore, the bhakta then, he seeks continuation of this darshana. He wants to attain, and that continuation can only happen when he attains it. Until one is there in this Prakrita Mandala, it will always be interrupted. So, Parama Bhakti is the final stage of release. Now, Ramanuja seeks for this bhakti. This is bhakti which is not sadhana bhakti, this is sadhya bhakti. Sadhya bhakti which is bestowed by Bhagavan so that one can experience Bhagavan continuously. Tesham jnani nityayuktaha ekabhaktir visishyate priyo hi jnaninotyartam aham sacha mama priyaha udara sarva evete jnani tu atmaiva me matam astitasya hi yuktatma mameva manuttamam gatim bahunam janmanamante jnanavan ma prapadyate vasudevas sarvamiti samahatma sudurlabaha iti shlokatrayodita jnaninam mam kurushva. Hey Bhagavan, in the Gita you talked about that jnani, that supreme bhakta. Iti shlokatrayodita jnaninam mam kurushva. Transform me into that jnani. You are the one. You glorified jnani, now you transform me into that jnani. A very fair ask. Bhagavan is udara. Why is udara? Because he accepts all bhaktas. Not just jnani. Any bhakta. Artharthi, Jigyasu, any kind of bhakta. All that. He is udara means he is so very large-hearted, so very kind. Udara. For him, even one good deed is enough. It seems, there was a man who was chased by a dog. Chased by a dog, and he went running in the opposite direction around the temple. Since Bhagavan said, at least he made a pradakshina, even if it is the wrong direction. Let me bless him. He is udara. Therefore, any bhakta who seeks any kind of reward, he is ready to give. But jnani is the one who is not interested in Krishna's presence. He is interested in Krishna's presence. He does not want to gather things, he wants to be together with Krishna. He is the jnani. Nitya bhaktaha, eka bhaktihi, eka bhakti. Undivided love. No sharing. The moment this love is shared with several other people, several other things, more than people thinks. We love things more than even people. The moment we start sharing, Krishna's percentage maybe 10%, 15%, maybe, who knows? We don't know. A jnani is 100% Krishna bhakti. Eka bhakti nitya yukta, ever connected. Make me such a jnani. Purushassa parapartha bhaktya labhyastvananyaya. Bhaktya tvananyaya shakyaha. Mad bhaktim labate param. Iti sthanatrayodita parabhakti yuktam mam kurushva. Ramanuja here is quoting Gita shlokas in the Śaraṇāgati gadyam. He is saying, you talked about parabhakti and therefore you provide me that parabhakti. That parabhakti, that intense love which will enable me to have you and you alone as my goal. So that my attention is undivided. I see everything in the context of everything belonging to you. In my priorities, you come on the very top. Everything else then get aligned to Krishna. When that parabhakti begins to blossom, Ramanuja knows it naturally will lead to parajnana. That progression becomes effortless. Because why? Parajnana dasha is granted by Bhagavan. Tesham evanukampartam aham ajnanajam tamaha nashayamyatma bhavastaha jnanadipena bhasvata. So parajnana dasha is a natural outcome of parabhakti dasha. And when the parajnana dasha happens, it will slowly progress to paramabhakti. So therefore, parabhakti, parajnana, paramabhakti krita, ಪರಿಪೂರ್ಣಾನವರತ ನಿತ್ಯ ವಿಶದತಮ ಅನನ್ಯ ಪ್ರಯೋಜನ ಅನವತಿಕಾದಿಶಯ ಪ್ರಿಯ ಭಗವದನುಭವೋಹಂ ತಥಾವಿಧ ಭಗವದ್ ಅನುಭವಜನಿತ ಪ್ರೀತಿಕಾರಿತ ಅಶೇಷಾವಸ್ಥೋಚಿತ ಅಶೇಷ ಶೇಷತೈಕರಿತಿ ರೂಪ ನಿತ್ಯ ಕಿಂಕರೋ ಭವಾನಿ. ನಿತ್ಯ ಕಿಂಕರೋ ಭವಾನಿ. ಹೇ ಭಗವನ್, ಮೇಕ್ ಮೀ ಯುವರ್ ನಿತ್ಯ ಕಿಂಕರ. Adisesha is the foremost of kinkaras. Make me your nitya kinkara. Enable me to continuously experience you, relish your gunas without any interruption. Give me that blessing. I surrender to you. I surrender to your lotus feet. Ananya sharanaha. Tvat padara vindayogalam sharanamaham prapadhye. Who can resist this appeal? Immediately Bhagavan says, Kinkaro Bhava, Nitya Kinkaro Bhava. He grants eternal servitude to Ramanuja then and there. And he also adds, hey Ramanuja, you very well know that I have made this assurance long back. Sakradeva prapannaya tavasmiti che yachate abhayam sarvabhutebhyo dadamyetad pratam mama. During my Ravavatara, I took this oath, this pledge. And during my Krishna Avatara also in the Gita, through Charamashloka, I guaranteed that I shall do shoka nivritti to all those Śaraṇāgatas. I have already made these assurances. Therefore, there should be no iota of doubt whatsoever. Nissamshayam sukhamasva, Bhagavan says. Nissamshayam. Ma shuchaha. Nissamshayam. There is no need for any doubt whatsoever. Moksha sukha, mokshananda, brahmananda, nitya kainkarya, paramapada vaikuntha prapti is guaranteed to you. Ramanuja immediately says, this guarantee, this assurance should not be limited to me alone, He Bhagavan. I pray that you grant this to all and everyone, all of my sambandhis. Bhagavan says, Tathastu. So therefore, through Śaraṇāgati gadya, Swami Ramanuja teaches us how to perform Śaraṇāgati. This is a grantha which is so very practical for us. It enables us to do Śaraṇāgati, to be in a state of Śaraṇāgati all the time. And also, it gives us that reassurance that the Yatisimha, 1,000 years back, has already secured Paramapada Samrajya, Mokshananda for all of us. To give us this reassurance, He has orchestrated our yatra in such a way that we had to relish the summary of Śaraṇāgati sitting right under His very lotus feet. What other assurance can we ask for? Punyam bhoja vikasaya papadbhanta kshayaya cha Shriman avirabhut bhumau Ramanuja divakaraha. Jai Shri Ramanuja. Jai Sri Krishna. Sarvam Sri Krishna Arpanastu.